Okay, I've had to once again remove the intro music from this particular talk show. I didn't want to do that, but to upload it, I had to follow the policy. Uh, Initially, it was the Bee Gees' Tragedy as the intro music, the live version. Now, I don't like censorship in any form, especially if it's affecting my work. But other than that, watch this series of 10-minute movies to get a complete perspective on everything I'm saying and all my points. That's about all for now. Oh yeah, now it is.
Yeah, you have to push the right button.
Okay, we're here with Donna-Marie at the same school, a four-year university, and so what is your position here? What do you?
What I do is I'm called a project coordinator, and I do the day-to-day operation of research projects that take place in this department.
Right. And how long have you been here in this capacity or this school?
Probably in this school,
Yeah.
maybe. I think I started in 1999.
Right. Yeah. Now, we're to talk about the same stuff, same material that we talked about with the other the administrative assistant. Is the classroom environment for people that have a hard time focusing on the classroom. On things like. Now I don't want to be too overly blunt here, but it seems to me this is the only way to get my point across here. I mean, have you had an encounter with students when you were teaching who had problems with noise levels as far as pen clicking, gum chewing? You got women on their cell phones, men and women on their cell phones. You know, not to stereotype anybody here. You get a majority of younger women on their cell phone. Any kind of distraction, whistling, you know, doing this stuff, you know, it's like, do people get irritated by this kind of thing?
Of course they do. I think the biggest irritation is when a student sitting next to another student is texting.
Text messaging, right.
And I think that is, even though it's supposed to be silent, a silent action, everybody can hear it. And also, students have their laptops in the office. Some other students are distracted by the key noise.
The key noise, yeah, typing, especially with women with long nails. You hear a reception, typing and click, click, click. Exactly. Yeah, the text messaging, you can hear the key sounds.
Even when they have silent key sound on the cell phone, it's still distracting because the person who is receiving a text will either giggle or laugh or say, "Oh darn" or whatever.
Do you think it's just the noise, or it's actually seeing them do it, or is it both?
I would say it's probably both.
Both.
But in my class, I have held that as much to a minimum as possible.
You mean you try to regulate where people don't do it?
Right. I ask that all cell phones be turned off when they come into my classroom.
Right.
I don't know if that actually was the case, but when I was teaching, I didn't have a lot of distractions in the classroom as far as the technology is concerned. However, I did allow them to use their laptops.
Well, this was back when, 5 years ago, the internet was still there. Did they have PDAs and Blackberries? You know, so they were bringing those in. And
the last time I taught was spring of 2005.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, that's relatively recent. So. What are some of the worst cases, say, that you've seen, like with people, students complain, not having coming up, approaching you with a problem that they couldn't handle, what would you say there would be their complaint? Yeah,
I'm trying to think of something offhand.
But I know generally they did approach you about the typing noise.
And that's when I decided, beginning the semester basically, after the first couple of weeks, to ask the students to please either turn off their cell phones or not respond to their cell phones if they ring, or if they're on vibration. Now, I don't know what the policy, the university's policy is regarding that. However, I know that to keep control in the classroom and to keep everybody as interested as possible, then to avoid those interruptions is pretty important. Was important to me.
Now, besides the the problems with that situation, what else were there that you can think of offhand? In the time, apparently there wasn't too many because.
No. And I taught qualitative research, and each of the students had their own project to work on, where they came up with the ideas for their final paper, which turned out to be like a journal article. And so they were pretty involved in their own work, whether they worked in groups or whether they worked individually.
Their work was their own work. It wasn't a group adding on to their work. It was just their own work.
Their own work, and then if they wanted to work in a group, then the whole group contributed to the work. But many times, students wanted to just work by themselves because they didn't want to have their grade depend upon the work of the group rather than their own. And the distractions would be outside the classroom, especially if it's a nice day. We had a first floor classroom, so if a pretty girl walked by or if a handsome guy walked by, then...
Well, yeah, they noticed.
Yeah.
So, it's not like they're...
But it wasn't really so much the technology, other than the key noises.
Do you find that a lot of students aren't aware of their surroundings? Or they're more into themselves and their work? Or were they more, do you find that some students are aware of their surroundings and their environment?
I think that students today are more aware of what's going on around them than students in the past.
Right.
I just think that the way classroom situations are, you do have to look around a little bit and even outside the classroom. I think young people are much more aware of what's going on around them. Both, the everyday stuff, and then I think they're able to pick out different circumstances or something that's changed in their environment in a way that's much different than it was, say, 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Why do you think it's different?
I think it's different because of incidents that have happened on campus.
Well, let's be clear on, we've seen what happened. We've seen do we have to say Virginia Tech, but we've seen that, and we've seen Columbine.
And here in San Diego County, 2 of our high schools had shootings a couple of years ago.
So they're more aware. Yes, they're more aware because of previous experiences. But have they remained? They're more aware of their safety. Common sense would say they're more aware of their safety, but what have they done to change some of it? Well, we got a phone call. You want to answer?
I don't have to take it.
No? We're real here. We're not.
I don't know what people have done to change.